Yo, what is up guys, Ghost here, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we've got a lot to go over yet again. So it seems like the helicopters are finally getting the balance pass that I think we know they all need. They've not been the best vehicles in Battlefield 6, they really need a lot of work. The matchmaking system is apparently, according to a recent leak, going to have a custom search function built into it. And then Battlefield 6 has allegedly sold over 600,000 copies and gotten 2.7 million wishlists on Steam alone. So I guess the memo to not pre-order the game got lost on the way. We've also got some important Battlefield 6 movement stats to go over, so without further ado, let's jump into everything. If you guys enjoy the content here on the channel, don't forget to hit that sub button. Plenty more to come on Battlefield 6 going into the future, and as always, thank you guys so much for your support. Alright, so first of all, let's talk about the attack helicopters. We know they are far from being perfect in Battlefield 6. They're extremely unwieldy. I always equate them to being like a floating barge or something. A lot of the maneuvers you were able to pull off in past Battlefield games just aren't possible in Battlefield 6, which is surprising because from the way they talk about it, they're trying to go back to the Battlefield 4 way of doing vehicles. They really do feel quite a far cry from being that right now. But over on X, Alex here says, are there any discussions going on behind the scenes to revert heli mechanics or controls to that of Battlefield 4? This was peak, and of course I wholly agree with Alex here, it definitely was peak. And David Serland, the lead producer, chimes in and he says, there is no revert, but a large pass on helicopter flight is in progress and coming after beta for testing. So I think what he means here is they're going to open up Battlefield Labs again, which they've already stated they're going to do, and continue testing there. Now, I've mentioned this before, but from my experiences in Labs, there really wasn't any feedback topics there constructed around the vehicles in the game. They were more so focused on the infantry play, you know, the map design, the class system, all those sorts of things. I did give vehicle feedback when I could, but I also didn't get much testing time there because I think there's only one playtest where we actually had all the vehicles when we were playing on Liberation Peak, right? The other two maps didn't have the air vehicles on them. So from what it sounds like here, they are going to be focusing down, hopefully, on the vehicles during the next 2 months in labs testing. I know 2 months doesn't sound like a whole lot of time to, you know, get these changes into the game, but when you consider there are 4 studios working on this title all at the same time, I don't know, maybe they can kind of pull this off here. I think it is doable. I think they do have the bones there for the attack helicopter in particular here, but the jet, it's worth mentioning, also needs a lot of work. So hopefully we're going to see some really big improvements. Alright, this next one is a bit of a leak coming out of the data miner Temporal, and he says a custom search option teased in Battlefield 6 files might let you set preferences, maps and modes for matchmaking. And here are some possible use cases. You can avoid the last played map, you can focus on small or large maps, or you can have specific map mode combos. Obviously, as he states, it needs a healthy player base in your region to work well, which I'm going to go out on a limb and say Battlefield 6 is going to have a healthy player base almost everywhere because, I mean, the excitement for this game is kind of through the roof at the moment. So here are a few more details. Here are the actual descriptions that he's found and data mined out of the files, and it says select mode and map preferences to prioritize in your search. Matchmaking time depends on your selections. We may expand the search to get you playing more quickly. And here are a few example use cases. So you've just finished a match, for example, on Liberation Peak. Now I want to have a different map, so you could select all maps except Liberation Peak. I want to fly the jets. Then you can select Mirak Valley, Operation Firestorm, New Sobek City, he says, and Liberation Peak. As far as I know, New Sobek City is actually not going to have jets in there, so I think he actually may be wrong on that one. That's only a helicopter map. And then need to grind a few weapon attachments, infantry only please. You can select then Empire State and Saints Quarter, which are going to be the 2 infantry only maps. So this honestly excites me and worries me almost in equal measure. I think this is a great addition to the matchmaking system. This means now, presumably, you know, like in past Battlefield games, you're going to tick the boxes of the maps that you want to play, you're going to tick the boxes of the game modes you want to play, you hit matchmaking, and you're put into a server. But then does that mean you're going to have to exit matchmaking after every round in order to re-queue and, let's say, untick the map that you've just played, right? So let's say you've just done Siege of Cairo, you don't want to play that again and matchmake in there, or you're going to have to, like, back out, untick that one, and then go back in, because that sort of defeats the purpose for me. And whilst I do think this is a good addition overall, it kind of screams that whatever server browser they are adding to the game with Portal and everything, that it's not going to meet our expectations. I really feel that if they had a fully fledged server browser that encompassed all of the things that the community needs it to, they would be screaming it loud and proud from the rooftops. They would have told us straight away, guys, we're doing it, we're bringing the server browser back, baby. That's literally like one of the only things that is missing from Battlefield 6 at the moment that people are asking for. And so the fact that they're keeping it under wraps and not really expressing themselves too freely on it, I think they're waiting to give us a proper blog post that goes, you know, into more detail and explains it in a way where the community understand exactly how it works, and maybe they're not going to kick up too much of a fuss about it. The fact they're going that route sort of suggests to me that we're not going to be getting the server browser that I think some of us expect. Now, this is by no means a deal breaker for me. You know, I'm still going to play Battlefield 6. I'm going to cover it here on the channel as well, regardless of whether there's a server browser in there or not. But I really do feel like, in terms of community, the game is just missing a trick by not having a proper server browser. I am going to kind of reserve my judgment on that. We haven't heard everything yet. You know, they haven't played all their cards and put them on the table. Once they've done that, then I'll give my proper opinion on that, and obviously after I've play tested it. And I think that is something they're planning to do, by the way, in Battlefield Labs as well. But I don't think they should underestimate the importance of it either. Alright, moving on from that, let's take a look at some statistics here for BF6. This is coming out of Alinea Analytics, and here's a bit of a slide for you guys. So the game has been pre-ordered 605,000 times on Steam, accruing a total of $35 million in revenue, and that's just Steam, bear in mind, so we haven't seen the numbers on the EA app, PlayStation, Xbox, the Epic Games Store. It could well be upwards of $150 million worth of pre-orders here, before not only the game's release, but even the second beta test has come out, which is of course starting tomorrow. Plug, by the way, I'll be streaming it, so don't forget to come by the channel. So I think it's fair to say that people kind of missed the memo on that one, not to pre-order it. That's kind of always been a meme. Don't pre-order the game, don't pre-order the game. And I think there's a lot of people who say, I'm going to do whatever the heck I want, man. And to be honest, I can't really blame anybody for pre-ordering at the moment, not only because, of course, it's their choice regardless, but the game is pretty good, isn't it, guys? I haven't pre-ordered it yet because I don't really see the point in doing it until, like, maybe a couple of days before. It makes no difference to me. I don't think it really makes a difference to EA either, but right now, the game is looking pretty solid, so I can definitely understand why so many people have pre-ordered it. 7.2 million wishlists on Steam is impressive as well. As we already know, there was 521,000 concurrent users in the beta test. Going to be interesting to see what that actually goes up to this weekend. And then over here on the right side, we actually have the percentage of wishlisters who also played various titles. So 62% of everybody who wishlisted Battlefield 6 played Call of Duty, or some Call of Duty, right? That's like the main launcher there. And only 48% actually played Battlefield 2042, 33% Helldivers 2, and 27% Delta Force. So these numbers are quite surprising to me. First of all, that more people who wishlisted the game played Call of Duty than who played the previous Battlefield game, 2042. And I don't think that's to say there's more people who play Call of Duty than do Battlefield who wishlisted the game. I think there's just a lot of Battlefield players out there who didn't bother playing 2042 because they heard that the game was terrible, and now they're coming back again. Also, the fact that 27% of Delta Force players wishlisted it is interesting as well, because that kind of tells you that a large chunk of the Delta Force audience are interested in playing Battlefield 6. And for anybody who's been keeping up with the Delta Force concurrent users on Steam, you will know that the Battlefield 6 beta, despite having 500,000 players on Steam alone, didn't really put a dent in Delta Force's player number, or seemingly not. I think their player numbers, quite frankly, are a load of rubbish. I definitely think they're being bodied or manipulated in some way. There's going to be a video coming on that soon as well, so stay tuned for that one. But yeah, before I get raving about Delta Force, let's move on to the final subject here of today's video. And this is coming out of a video by SMK Gaming. I'm going to link his video down below. I've watched the whole thing, and it is very informative. He does really nice videos on Battlefield details that you wouldn't really think about too much, but once you read them or watch them, you realize how important they actually are. And his latest one is about the sprint speeds in Battlefield games, right? There's been a lot of talk about how fast Battlefield 6 is and people wanting the game to slow down. And here is a chart from his video. Again, I really recommend watching the whole video to get all of the context. But in short, you can see that Battlefield 6 is pretty much the bottom of the pile. This is base sprint speed here, guys. Now, he does mention in the video that for testing reasons, his tests may not be like 100% accurate, and so he thinks it's likely that the same sprint speed in Battlefield 1 and 5, 6.04 seconds, is exactly the same in Battlefield 6, and his testing numbers here are just a little bit wrong, but that still puts it all the way down at the bottom. Then we have Battlefield Hardline at 6.75 seconds with the fastest base run speed here. And then for those of you who weren't aware, if you run in Battlefield 6 with your knife equipped, you actually move faster. So this is essentially sort of like the traversal sprint in Battlefield 6, but the kicker is you have to get your knife out. So you're risking somebody getting the jump on you coming around a corner when you're holding there with your knife out and your pants down around your ankles, or getting around on that flank a little bit quicker and being able to equip your weapon right on time. I personally really like that. And he says again here, whilst he got 7.12 seconds, he thinks it's likely that the sprint speed with the knife out is exactly the same as Battlefield 3 and 4 at 7.15 seconds. The overall fastest one, of course, is Battlefield 2042's tactical sprint, or the traversal sprint, at 7.25. So there you go, guys. Very interesting numbers there. Once again, I really recommend checking out his video, but I think this kind of confirms that Battlefield 6 is definitely one of the slowest Battlefield games, at least in terms of sprint speed, if you're not counting, running around with your knife out. If you do count that, then yes, I suppose it's one of the faster ones, but then again, you've got to literally hold your knife and put your weapon away, so I do feel that that is balanced. And that is going to wrap this video up, guys. As always, leave me all of your comments down below. Let me know what you think about the matchmaking system. Do you think this is like a fair compromise if they're not going to give us a proper server browser? Clearly, we know there is going to be some kind of a server browser. Exactly how it's going to function, though, isn't quite clear yet. What do you think about the pre-orders? Have you pre-ordered the game yet? What do you think of the game? Let me know everything you think below, guys. Don't forget to leave a like on the video, subscribe to stay up to date with everything Battlefield 6, and I'll see you all in the next one.